All right, I'm going to run you through how to create the assembly drawing for your construction block assembly. And so the first thing you're going to do is come over here to the drop down under design and click that you're going to want to make a drawing, and you're going to want to make that drawing from the design. All right. Um, Under the content, you're going to want to make sure you have the full assembly, and you're going to want to create a new drawing. So that's fine. And then we're going to make sure we have the CTE title block. And I'll go ahead and click OK to open it. And that's going to open our drawing sheet for our drawing. And when we do that, you can see it's going to bring in that assembly. And so the first thing that I'm going to want to do is choose the orientation of this assembly. And so we're going to put a few different orientations here. First thing I'm going to start out with is a northeast isometric of the assembly. And I'm going to make that, it's at a quarter scale now. It looks a little too small, so I'm going to make it half scale. I'm also going to, anytime I have an isometric, I'm going to make it shaded. So I'm going to click to make that isometric view shaded. And then when I click on my sheet, it's going to place that view on my sheet. And so then I can go ahead and click OK. And I can see that it's added that isometric drawing to my sheet. We're going to add a couple other views to this, so I'm going to go ahead and click base view to that, and I'm going to again make this half scale. I'll go ahead and click to place a front view there, and then I will click on that front view and click to place a right side view. And so I have a front view and a right side view of my assembly. Notice that when I move the front view, the right side view is projected from it, so it moves along with that view. All right, and so we have our assembly views that we want to include in this drawing here. The next thing I'm going to do is insert some part balloons. And so I'm going to come under here under table, and I'm going to click balloon, and then I'm going to start selecting these different parts in my object, and I'm going to place these part balloons on my object. And so we can see that the part, all the different balloons for the part, I could even come up here to the isometric and put those part balloons in. And I think that's what I'm going to do. It's easier to see the parts in the isometric view, so I'm going to delete these balloons off of the front view and just leave them on the isometric. One thing that you'll notice is this balloon's really close to the border of that isometric, so I'm just going to pull it down and make that balloon so it's not so close. The next thing I'm going to do is add a table to this. So I'm going to click part list, and I'm going to select the view that I want to create that part list for. And then I'm going to come up here and put in that part list. And so a few things, I'll want to move this again because the part list added some more, took up some more space on our sheet. And so we always want to keep our sheet nice and clean and neat. And so a few things from the part list that you see, we have an item number that refers to what balloon it is, how many of those parts exist in our assembly. Our part number, which right now is the component, we have a description that's blank, and the material that it's made out of. All right, and so I'm going to go back over to my block models, and we're going to mess with a few of these things. So I'm going to come over here under component 1, and I'm going to select physical material. When I do that, it's going to bring me to the material dialog box, and I'm going to come down here and I'm going to select wood. And then for wood, I'm going to just select pine. All right. And so what we're doing is we are making these parts, instead of being steel, like it said in the assembly for default, we're going to make them wood. And so when I do that, it makes those parts appear as wood. So I'm going to go ahead and click save. I can click user saved. So when I click save, it brings the color back, but now instead of being made out of steel and painted, they're made out of wood and painted. I can then come back over to my assembly. Notice how I have this little warning. I can click on that, and that's going to update my parts to the actual material that they are. All right, and so the last thing that I want to show you is the description box. So if I come again back over to my part models and I right click on component 1 and I go to properties, it's going to bring up the properties dialog box, and I can expand that, and this is going to allow me to change some of the things that show up. So maybe I need a description for this part I need to include. I can type that right in here under description, and so I'm just going to call this that this is a construction block. I don't really have any other notes. I just want to show you how this works. So I'm just going to type in construction block for that because that's the description of my part. Again, I could come in to component 2, right click on that, go to properties for component 2. I could put in that description, construction block. Maybe I want to say this one is a triangle. All right, so I've added that to component 2, and so on. When I go back to my sheet now, first I'll save this. When I go back to my sheet and update it, the description then comes in for each of those parts. And so that's how the assembly drawing works within Fusion.